going to be beautiful, everyone. Thank you. And welcome back.
We're finally doing that which we gathered together last June to do, and that's giving you all your gift for being such a great.
Welcome to Irvine United Congregational Church. Welcome back, choir. I'm so excited to see you. Welcome to all of you. Welcome to our proud, open, and affirming Just Peace, Global Missions, Creation, Justice, Progressive Christian Congregation of the United Church of Christ. When we come together, we seek to be a diverse community, a diverse multicultural and multi-generational community who seek to follow in the ways of Jesus as we heed the prophet's call to seek justice and to love with kindness and to walk humbly with our God and one another. So thank you for being here. As I said, today we welcome back our choir. We're so excited to see you. And we welcome back any of you who may have found yourselves on a summer hiatus. Every year, or many times, Protestants have a day like this. We call it a rally day. And it's often a time for our Christian education folks. In our case, we call it our ministry with young people, to invite all the kids to come back. But in reality, we like to invite everybody back. It's sort of like going back to school, even if we've been out of school for 30, 40, 50, 70 years. We still feel that like come back time. So this is our come back to church. We're so glad that you are here. We are having a Ministries Fair today to celebrate all of the ministries of our church, to showcase those ministries, the crucial and critical arms of our body of Christ, to make it possible for us to care for one another, to care beyond ourselves into our communities, to advocate for a just and peaceful world, to understand and embrace diversity, equity, and inclusion, to worship and sing together, to listen to each other, and essentially to be the progressive church we seek to be right here in the heart of Orange County. So I hope that you will spend some time visiting our ministries this morning after we finish our service together. There's a little game we'll all be playing to make sure that you're paying attention as you learn about each ministry. Each of our ministries represent an important piece to our church as a whole, just as each person is important and integral. As together, we put the pieces together to make the big picture of who we are as IUCC. So come and learn about all those different pieces in our puzzle and help us create the big picture together. If you are a visitor, this is a great day to visit, to get to know who we are as a church. We're glad that you've joined us. If you're watching online, thank you for tuning in. Wish you could be here to celebrate the fair with us outside. But we would love it if you are new, if you'd help us by getting to know us, by telling us who you are, and as you take the time to get to know us by going to our website, or if you're here in person, visiting our ministries. We do have some green cards that are here in person. Online, you can go to iucc.org/visitor, and there you can fill out a little bit about yourself so we can reach back out to you. We are a Green Faith church, so we don't have paper bulletins, but if you would like to download the bulletin, you can do so now with this QR code right here, or just let us guide you through the service. You will know when to stand up, what words to sing or words to say by following along on the screen. If you are here in person and you have a challenge with hearing, we do have some headphones that are located in the back, and Donnie's back there at the sound booth to help you with that. There's always a lot happening here at IUCC. You can find out all about it by heading to our website. As I've said, read our e-blast. We just had a new September newsletter come out. There's a lot happening, beginning again right here with our Ministries Fair. I know it's hot. I kind of think like the reason you're here is because you knew that IUCC has invested in our air conditioning and you came to church today. So if you feel, yeah, it's worth the applaud because It does take a lot to keep a church running, and we seem to have ACs going down all over the place, but we're taking care of it, so you will be nice and cool, refreshing while you're in here. While you're out there at the Ministries Fair, if you feel like you are too hot, the Ministry with Young People is hosting a water slide, and they serve our young people. And you may find yourself to be a child at heart, as I certainly am. I brought my swimsuit. If you didn't bring your swimsuit, I just want to let you know that you should take your cell phone out and you should take your car keys out. Wallet, probably take that out too, but those two will get destroyed if you put them in the water. So you are welcome. Just check in with Pastor Rachel or Ministry Chair Myrna about that so the kids can, go first. But have fun. We have so much going on this month. We do hope that you will participate in that. Next week is our all-church picnic, so join us after church. We'll be at Mason Park, and there's going to be games, and it's sort of a potluck. We'll have some burgers, I think, and bingo, and veggie burgers. Yes. Where's my girl? And veggie burgers for vegetarians here. And it's going to be a really fun afternoon. It's delightful time to really get to know each other as we sit at the park and hang out. And then also be sure to join us for True Believer, a showing that's happening on September 24th with the directors of the film. So lots going on. Do check out the newsletter. And we want to just thank you for being here this morning, for being in this community, for being church, and as we'll talk about today, doing church, because that's who we are together as IUCC. Welcome. Thank you for coming. Let us continue.
Good morning, church family. My name's Connie Jones. I'm the moderator. This is my second year I'm starting. And I just want to say to anybody who may be new, the best way to bond with your church is to get on one of the ministries. Being a musician, I'm always connected immediately with a choir when I came 20 years ago. This is my bonding with the church. And then years after that, Susie Lang asked me to be on the Fund Development Committee, and I said, I've never done anything like that. So I did that, and I'm still on the committee. And then Pastor Sarah asked me to be the moderator, and I said, I've never done that either. And here I am, being the moderator and your lay leader for this morning. So I just wanted to encourage you to take a look at the ministries tables. Okay. People of God, look about creation and see the faces of those we know and love. Neighbors and friends, brothers, sisters, siblings, a communion of kindred hearts. People of God, look about and see the faces of those we hardly know. Strangers, sojourners, forgotten friends, the ones who need an outstretched hand. People of God, look about and see all the images of God assembled here today. People of God, come, let us worship together.
Good morning, church. As we worship together, we are going to sing together. If you look to your right or left, probably you will find a black book, which is our hymnal. And we're going to sing from number 391, In the Midst of New Dimensions, and we'll sing verses 1, 2, 3, and 4. Please stand in body or in spirit.
It's time for Fresh Word.
I have a feeling we be not in Irvine anymore, Socrates. We be shipwrecked. And today be rally day at IUCC. We have to get back home. I don't want to miss the water slide. I don't know. I kind of like having a whole island to myself. Let's just stay here. You scurvy dog. We can't stay here. We have to get back home where we belong. Imagine what the kids be saying right now.
What I like about home is that I get to cook in the kitchen and there's air conditioning. I like my home because it keeps me safe, it's warm, and I have my plants, and I really love plants. What I like about my home is it keeps me warm and cozy, and also it has a TV, so we can play video games on it. So yeah! I like my home because I feel safe, I can be myself, my family's there, everybody who I love. I just feel comfortable at home. It's home. And church is also my home. I like about home is because I can watch TV, be safe, watch TV with the snacks, go to bed.
IUCC be our home. It be a place where people love us and there be people we love. Irvine United Congregational Church, a progressive Christian congregation of the United Church of Christ. I guess you do have a point. There's no Wi-Fi out here anyway. Well, blow me down. It'd be a helicopter. Ahoy! SOS! Help! I think we'd be getting off this island after all, Socrates. Yahar! Thanks for the ride! I can't believe we were on Catalina Island the whole time. Yahar! Not too far from Irvine, which means we'd be back in time for the Ministries Fair. Let's go on the water slide, Socrates. Welcome back, IUCC. Keep ye fresh.
Yes, welcome back, church. I just want to introduce a new person to you. You know, our intern program is for students who are in college who can learn a little bit more about church ministry and learn a little bit more about being part of a choir and section leaders. And so while we have to say goodbye to our interns who graduate and leave their collegiate careers, we get to say hello to new ones. And today we get to do that with Melanie Whiter, who is our new soprano intern. And she is a choral music education major at Cal State Fullerton. So she's going to welcome us in by singing the solo to our first anthem this fall. It's called Carry the Light.
Like a candle that shines.
Let's sing together as we come into prayer together. Holy Spirit, come to us. Holy Spirit, come to us.
Good morning. Please pray with me. Holy Creator, we are here to worship you on this Ministry Sunday. There are many avenues open to us to serve you, this church, and each other. The song we just sang asks, in the midst of new dimensions, in the face of changing ways, who will step up to lead your people? We ask that you open our hearts, that we may discern which ministry activities will utilize the gifts you have given us, and encourage us to recognize other gifts we may not have yet discovered. The song also reminded us that we are each a gift in your creation, each a love song to be sung. Some of us have chosen to sing our songs in the choir, but we all have a song to sing with our lives. Help us find the tune and lyrics that are suitable for our unique life song. God, we're a community that values inward nurture and outward embrace. We yearn to make an impact in this community and in the larger world as we sing our love songs to you and to each other. Right now, we're singing songs of comfort for those in Georgia who have been impacted by another school shooting. We also pray for the 14-year-old who felt so removed from love that he would seek to end the lives of others, and the misguided parent who enabled that action. We also pray for those who have been affected by a shooter in Kentucky. We pray for those in Gaza, the West Bank, and Israel who desperately need a resolution to the conflict. We're burning up down here, God. Some are literally watching wildfires burn up their homes in town. But the out-of-control heat waves we keep experiencing are reaching life-threatening levels. We pray that people will use wisdom when they are outside, and that children will be protected during this time, especially young children in car seats. We also pray for those laborers who are working outside and those in charge of their work, that they will be concerned for their well-being. God, Jesus gave us the message of how to love you and how to love each other. Help us feel your nurturing, unconditional love in our lives so that we can feel replenished and able to reach out and love our neighbors as Jesus taught us. And there are those in our community who have asked us to pray for them, and their names will appear on the screen now. So now let's pray together the prayer that Jesus taught his followers. Our Creator, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen.
We are grateful this morning for the many gifts, talents, and contributions which sustain our community. If your heart is suggesting a financial contribution, you may drop an offering in the plate this morning. You can visit our website at iucc.org/giving. You can mail in a check to 4915 Alton Parkway, Irvine, California, 92604. You can also donate by texting. Simply text the amount you want to give to 949-776-3663 and follow the prompt. At this time, I'd like to invite our deacons to come forward to help with our offering. We thank you for the generosity of these gifts. May we use them to further Jesus' ministry of inclusion, seeking justice, sharing joy, and living love. Amen. The scripture this morning is from the books of Romans, chapter 13, verses 8 through 10. Owe no one anything except to love one another. For the one who loves another has fulfilled the law. The commandments, you shall not commit adultery, you shall not murder, you shall not steal, you shall not covet, and any other commandment are summed up in this word: love your neighbor as yourself. Love does no wrong to a neighbor. Therefore, love is the fulfilling of the law.
that's exciting. Well, I've always liked a good rally. For those of you who have known me a while, know that I'm often a speaker at rallies. Yeah, you do. Whether it's a worker rally, maybe an action outside of the workplace where there are strikers, or maybe a good old international May Day rally where we take to the streets and we shout our "Si se puedes," or maybe it was those days in 2008 and beyond when we all rallied together for marriage equality and the continued need we have for LGBTQ rights, or any rally for rights, really, like the women's marches where we're protesting for our own health care. I like a good rally cry. I especially enjoy a good call and response. Maybe you can help me with this one. What do we want? Justice. When do we want it? Hey, good job, IUCC. Now, what you may not know is that my love of rallies actually began before I became an activist. Did you know that I was voted most spirited at my high school? Huh? Hey, well, thank you so much. 30 years later, yeah. I sometimes think that was some sort of a premonition, though, something I didn't quite understand at the time. I knew I had school spirit, but little did I know I would spend my life working for the spirit. But it all makes sense now. That said, I think all the pep rallies in high school served me in more ways than I realized at the time. I often feel like I'm a cheerleader, drumming up hope and excitement about ministry. Although, to be honest, I wasn't actually a cheerleader in high school. I was something way cooler than that. I was the mascot. It's true. It's true. I was Marty the Mustang. And man, did I get those rallies going. Whether it was the pep rallies at the school or rallying the crowds in the stands of the football games, I was full of the spirit. The rallies I go to these days require a lot of chanting, but back then, I didn't even use my voice. It was all about animating our school spirit and getting others to use their voices. I might have been on to something. I may do a lot of preaching, but what I really want to do is to help animate the spirit among us and get you to use your voice. If you think about it, our Sunday gatherings are kind of like pep rallies. And the pastor's job is not to tell you what to do, but to help you to catch the Spirit and let it energize you. So, since today is Rally Day, what better way for us to catch the Spirit than have a rally cry? But what would be our rally cry? Now, when I'm on the picket lines, we often have a bullhorn, and we'll get some good chants going. Here's one in Espanol. El pueblo unido jamás será vencido. Oh, good. Felicity for service today. Gracias. Then we shout it out in English. The people united will never be divided. Now, I know that you're going to say it's defeated because that is the more literal translation, but I just can't help it. I like the rhyme. And in fact, just last week, Dustin used that as he ended his sermon with us on Labor Day. Back in high school, we had a bunch of just kind of fun ones to get our bodies going, and it was lean to the left, lean to the right, stand up, sit down, fight, fight, fight. Yeah. Now, those don't seem quite right, although I really do kind of like the pueblo unido part. That might continue to work for us. And I believe that really there's almost no situation where si se puede doesn't fit. You know what I mean? It's possible. Yes, we can. But I think for as much as we wring good old Paul out, he got it right in this passage. It's all summed up with love your neighbor. So maybe our rally cry could be exactly how he started this reading. Love one another. I know that seems kind of simple and also incredibly obvious given that you just heard Connie read it moments ago, but it really is all about love. There's a story about John, the beloved disciple. You may know that he was said to have gone to Ephesus to continue his work as an apostle. Well, the church father Jerome, a 4th century theologian, shared this story about him. So the disciple turned apostle was so committed to preaching about Jesus that he did so his whole life long, and as the story goes, he lived a very long life. So supposedly he was still preaching well into his 90s despite getting frailer and frailer, and he got to the point where he couldn't even stand, and he had to be carried into the church on a stretcher. And when he could no longer preach a normal sermon, they would carry him in, and he'd lean an elbow here, and he'd say, "Little children, love one another." And then they'd put him back on the stretcher, and they'd carry him back out again. And then he'd come back the next week, and it went on over and over again. And finally, some of the people in the congregation complained and said, "Why always the one-sentence sermon? Little children, love one another. Why do you always say this?" "Because," St. John replied, "it is the Lord's command. And if only this is done, it is enough." Now, after the past summer, it cannot be said that I always preach the same passage or the same sermon. But I know it kind of seems like I go back to my favorites time and time again. But if this story has any truth to it, and I believe it does, historical fact, that is another question entirely. But truth, yes. If there is only one sermon to be preached, it is this: love one another. So if we need a rally cry, perhaps we got it. 3 little words, it's all we need. And the good news is it fits on a sign. And I think it could chant well, love one another, love one another, love one another. Oh, I love it. Ooh, sister and your brother. But we got to be more inclusive than that. All siblings together. We'll work on it. But is that enough? Is that the only sermon we never need to hear? It would make my job a lot easier, and the services shorter. My mom always says, "No one ever complained about a short sermon, Sarah." I know. But that's just too simple, isn't it? Maybe it is. Especially for the educated people of IUCC. I mean, you guys come here looking for something, right? Simple, yes. Easy? No. I think that's why so many people go somewhere looking for someone to tell them what to do, you know? Give me the rules. They look for these lines to draw to figure out who's in and who's out. Are you going up or are you going down? And they make it all about belief instead of about action. There's got to be more to the rally cry, they think, more than just love. It's too wishy-washy. It's so soft on sin, not strong enough on holiness. Where's the theology in that? Come on. It's too impractical, they think. The world's too complicated for love. What place could just love one another have in this world that we live in, where it's all about bottom lines and politics and countries that defend their national interests? I get it. Truth is, they said the same thing about Jesus. He wasn't following the rules. He was setting aside all of God's commandments. He's making himself dirty for God's sake. Yeah, for God's sake. But what does it mean to love one another? Is love a stairway to heaven, or is it a highway to hell with all this moral relativism as they talk about us? Is love tolerance? Like we just tolerate everything? Is it live and let love and let live? Or is love just about affection, Feel good. Erase all the negativity, let the good times roll. Good vibes only here, good vibes. Be nice. Use your manners. Be polite. I think that love is a little bit of all of that. Tolerance, affection, and decency. Decency, you can't take that for granted. We could use a little bit more of that. But they're all really important qualities. I just don't think that is enough. That alone isn't the rally cry. That alone couldn't have gotten Jesus killed. Because for Jesus, love is more than just kindness or tolerance or even a comforting embrace. It really was a rally cry. So, love. It begins first and foremost with being open. Being open to another human being. Open to another perspective. Open to stories other than our own. Open to hear with ears that hear and see with eyes that see. To be able to see beyond ourselves and use active listening that requires presence. It's like when Jesus stopped everything, surrounded in a crowd, to see the woman who dared touch him, to heal her without asking for her insurance or copay. Love, which is freely given, expecting nothing in return. It's like forgiving the sins of society's worst offenders with no blood sacrifice required. It's given, whether we feel the recipient deserves it or not. Neighbors and strangers and the sinners, even enemies. It's like someone welcoming the least among us, clothing the naked, visiting the prisoners, feeding the hungry, caring for the sick, like a despised enemy of us, compassionately tending to the wounds of us. Love is giving oneself for the other, even when it hurts the giver. It's like somebody standing up to injustice on behalf of the overburdened, shifting the target to their own back. It's the self-sacrifice of giving oneself to be crucified by an oppressive power in order to save people from annihilation. The goal of love is always mutual flourishing for everyone, the giver and the receiver, for all people, that we could experience life's abundance together. It's like that banquet where all the lost and the found, the last and the first, the least and the greatest, all come to feast together with enough food for everybody who wants to be there. Go out into the streets and bring them on in. This is the love that Jesus taught, the love that Jesus lived all the way to the cross. This is the love that we freely give of ourselves so that others can experience this flourishing of life and love together with us, even when we feel they don't deserve it, even when it hurts us to do so. They're like, oh, well, you guys don't believe in sin. You're so soft on sin. We don't like to talk about it. I know. But it doesn't mean that sin doesn't exist. We know there's sin. Sin and evil do exist. If anything, Jesus isn't soft on it. With Jesus, the sins and the evil of this world become even sharper. We can see them for what they are. And we are called to actively, though non-violently, resist it. Resist them. Personal sins, again, we don't talk much about that, but we all carry something we regret. They are for each of us to repent. And other people's personal sins are for us to forgive. The world's sins, that's for us to resist. So simple, right? This is actually the kind of love that holiness is all about. Jesus, who overturns any conception of clean or unclean, of pure and impure, of holy and profane. It's all holy. It's all divine. The kingdom is among us. The kingdom come. It's here. Mercy. It's the new holiness. But it doesn't mean that we turn a blind eye to the sin and injustice in our world. Because Jesus is hardest on those who do. And in fact, he's hardest on those who abuse their religion, who wield their power, their riches, their privilege. Jesus condemns all kinds of injustice, including the injustice that masquerades itself as justice. Unjust justices. Jesus stands alongside the most vulnerable in society, the impoverished, the hungry, the children, the foreigners, in an ethnocentric world. Women in a patriarchal world. That was pretty bold. It may still be. And this love is about living. And it can be the most very practical thing, necessary thing that our world needs. Because in our world, we are often still living by that old rule, an eye for an eye. Actually, if I'm honest, an eye for an eye might be a fairer deal. That might be better than what we see play out. Because in our world, it is kill or be killed. There are preemptive strikes. Total war. How long until the whole world really is blind? Love one another. It's really not all that wishy-washy if you think about it. It's not about tolerating behavior. It's not about being polite. And it sure ain't easy. It might be a simple chant, this cry of ours, this command of his, love one another. But too simple to live, too simple to take seriously, too simple for a practical person of faith? No. Not simple at all, really. I found this quote by G.K. Chesterton, who said, "The Christian ideal has not been tried and found wanting. It has been difficult and left untried. But we shall try anyway." On this day when we celebrate our ministries, on every Sunday when we gather to celebrate our faith, or every day we seek to live this human life, let this be our rally cry. Let this be our only Christian creed, this unifying mission in all of our ministries. Let this be our life's challenge, the simple, difficult command to love one another. Si se puede. Amen. And so, brothers and sisters, siblings in Christ, go out into a world that, yes, is so filled with injustice and violence and heartache, and do the hardest most challenging, most prophetic and powerful thing of all, and love, and love, and love one another. Amen.